In this video, I will be showing you how to take the geometry you have created in Rhino and convert it into a file that the CNC Hotwire can read. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to download the DeskCNC software off of the link that's been provided and go through the setup wizard in order to set up the software. So once you set up your DeskCNC software, you're going to want to go onto your computer's software documents, open that up, and there should be a DeskCNC file. Open that up. Then there should be a subfolder called configuration. You're going to want to open that up, and then from the downloadable configuration files provided, you're going to want to just copy all of these files into your documents files on your computer. And then it'll ask you if you want to replace them, and you say yes. So basically, we're overriding the settings for this program in order to get the correct settings so that the Hotwire can run. So I open up my Rhino geometry, and the material is being represented as the bounding box with the parallelogram inside. And we're going to need to check that this file is in inches. So I'm going to type in units. And just make sure that the file is set to inches. If it's not, you need to change that. So once we know that it's in inches, we're going to need to export the file as a .dxf, which is what the foam cutter software uses. So we're going to select our parallelogram and not the material, and we're going to export selected and make sure that it's set to .dxf. And you can just save this to your desktop for the time being. And just leave it at default export scheme, okay? And now we're going to open up the DeskCNC software. And it's a demo, so just press OK. Again, OK. And you should have a drawing area with a grid similar to Rhino. So we're going to want to open up our .dxf file, and the way you do that is by going to File, selecting Foam Cutter, and then selecting the Open Larger DXF contour. So we're going to browse down to our Rhino export and open that. So you should see this geometry, and you have two lines, one being an offset to simulate the amount of material that's going to be taken off by the hot wire by virtue of its heat melting away some of the material. And in this DeskCNC foam cutting software, the way that you can control zooming in and panning is you zoom by holding down Control and using your left click on your mouse, so that zooms in and out. And then to pan, you hold down Shift and then pan again with the left click. So the first thing that we're going to want to do with our geometry is specify the entry and exit points for the hot wire to enter the material. So what I'm going to do is just zoom into this upper right corner, and we're going to click Edit, Change, Start, and Depart. So we're going to want to left click in the top right hand corner to specify the entry point, and then you're going to right click in the same area to specify the exit point. So as I did that, a green outline of the geometry should have shown up, and if you zoom in very closely, you can see that there's a little black line segment. Okay, so then we want to make sure that the hot wire is moving in the right direction, which is counterclockwise. And we're going to double check this by saying View, show direction. So as you can see, there's all of these arrows that are going in a counterclockwise direction. So that's correct. If you have them going in a clockwise direction, you can edit that by saying edit, reverse direction, and as you can see, the arrows have switched, but we're going to switch them back to counterclockwise. So the next step is to export this file for the computer for the Hotwire to use. So this is sort of an intermediate software. And we're going to do that by selecting Toolpaths and clicking for Access Foam Cut. So the settings that you overrode by copying them over into the Documents file should have already set these settings, but just to make sure, you want to see that the feed rate is set to 16 and the approach rate is set to 1. We're going to click Create. And then the next step is to go back to Toolpaths and then this time click Run Machine. And this is saving it as a .dnc file, so make sure that the bottom says for access linear.dnc. And you can save that in your configuration files or you can save it to your desktop. Okay, so here is my geometry. And what you're going to want to do now is press Next 100 repeatedly until you get a dialog box that comes up that says no error on line 1649. It may be a different number, but it needs to say no error online and it should be the last line. So we're set to go there and we have our file now saved to the desktop as .dnc file. And from this point, we're going to put this file onto a thumb drive and insert it into the laptop that connects to the Hotwire so that we can run our specified geometry.